Perfect. All right, and we are off and running. Okay, guys. First off, thank you so much, everyone who's joining in. I'm so excited to connect with you, and I just want to let you know before we even get started that we're totally going to do Q&A at the end. So if you do have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat box, and then I'll get to them all at the end. But if you don't want to forget it, but I love answering questions, and I love everything to be really interactive. So as soon as we get to the end, then we'll just be totally interactive, and it'll be great. So, okay, great. So today's talk is obviously about reinvention. And I'm sure you've heard the quote, invention is the mother of necessity. And honestly, right now, reinvention is basically that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so my name is Kamelia Britton, and I am a lot of things. I'm an Instagram business coach. I'm a blogger at hackerette.com. I'm a full-time blogger. I started out in the travel space. I'm a travel and lifestyle influencer. I've worked with brands like Google, Facebook, GoDaddy, all kinds of things on all kinds of brands. I do this full time. I started back in 2016. My Instagram is over at kamelia.britton. So love to connect with you guys over there. But before any of this, right, I started out just like anybody else, just a regular girl trying to live her best life, right? I didn't just magically become all of these things on my own, right? And so before that, basically the long and winding road to success. So I started out as a nurse way back in 2001. So yes, I'm old, but no, back in 2001. And so I worked as a nurse for 17 years until I quit to focus on my blog and everything full time in 2018. So basically, I was a nurse, and for the first 10 years, I really loved it. I felt like I was able to, do really a lot of good and everything. And I just really was excited, and I was learning a lot. And then at some point I started to get burnout, and I felt like I kind of plateaued and the things that I could, go forward in. And I didn't really want to be management and stuff like that. So I was starting to get burnout. It was long hours and super high stress. I was in the NICU, which stands for the neonatal intensive care. And so instead of trying to, stay there, I started to try different specialties, and nothing felt right. I kept trying to do, I did med spa, and I did home care, and I did nursing home, and I literally tried everything. I was just trying to do something else because I just, so that was kind of the beginning of me trying to reinvent myself. I was just getting burnt out, and I felt completely stuck. I honestly had no idea what else I could actually do, because when you're a nurse, you're just a nurse. You really don't have a whole lot of transferable skills, even though you're smart and you're educated and all these things. There's a lot of people that just really pigeonhole you into that, exact niche, right? So, and then even if you try to do another nursing job, it's actually hard to get another job. So all I knew was that I wanted to do something else, but I didn't really know how that was going to work. I knew that I loved traveling. I never thought of a blog at the time for many years. I knew that my soul craved freedom. I hated the fact that I clocked in and clocked out, and I was stuck in this one little spot in this tiny little room for 12-hour shifts and sometimes 16-hour shifts. And my soul just was craving freedom. And I was always a traveler and all these things. So I just really, my quote was always this whole work thing keeps getting in the way of my travel. And you know what I mean? It was just annoying, right? So I constantly was just looking for ways to, work for myself and from anywhere. And I honestly had no idea how I was going to do it, but I just knew that I was completely determined. And that was a photo of me as a nurse, obviously. So I don't know if you can see the photos. And so basically my entrepreneurial journey, back in 2012, a long time ago, I decided that I was a nurse, and I was I'm going to build a home care company. So I don't know if you guys have heard about care.com, and it kind of is an online service, and they match people with caregivers. And so this was an original idea in my head. I'd never heard of care.com. I'm not even sure if they were around back in 2012. That was a long time ago. But if they were, it was kind of a new thing, right? So it was an original idea in my head. And I thought, I'm going to make match.com for healthcare, right? And so I bought dating site software, and I got really crafty with it. So instead of I'm a man looking for a woman, I changed it to I am a caregiver looking for a care seeker, and vice versa. And I changed ages to pay rates, and I changed hobbies to specialties, and I basically just hacked it, right? So I was okay, this is the super easy way. I'm just going to modify the software. And so voila, I built a home care company, right? And so there it was, the match.com for healthcare. And I realized I really loved creating it, but I did not love running it. I was, I think, in 2012, I was 31 years old at the time, and I was tweeting about aging in place, right? And so I wasn't passionate about aging in place. I was more passionate about being online and being, going wherever I was. And so I thought, oh my God, I've spent 2 years of my life working on this project and spent thousands of dollars. And I realized I've just worked myself into another job that I don't even like. So that was a really crummy feeling, especially just all the blood, sweat, and tears, right? And so then I made the hard decision to release it with love and say, oh, okay, that was, I'm just gonna walk away and go back to nursing. And so at that time, I still wasn't ready to give up. I still just had this entrepreneurial spirit, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try again. So I went the complete other way. And I don't know if you guys know what Reiki is. Reiki is like a wellness modality, like healing and things like that, like energy healing. And so I was like, I'm going to build a wellness company. So I did. So in 2014, I built La Jolla Reiki, which I'm sure you guys know La Jolla over in, the village and everything. So I built a wellness company right on Faye, right in La Jolla Village, right near the Vons. And I basically was, doing Reiki sessions. I was teaching it. I was a Reiki master and instructor. I was doing meditation, gatherings and things like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing my soul work. And this is like completely different than doing this online home care company. I think I've got it figured out. Well, about 2 years after that, I decided that I was stuck in a room all the time. I couldn't travel. And so I got a crazy deal for like an around the world trip for like $325, but that's another story. And so I went on this 6 weeks around the world trip because it was so cheap. And then when I came back, a lot of my clients made the decision for me. They weren't really there anymore because I was gone for 6 weeks. And I thought, oh my God, I've done it again. Like I completely worked myself into another job that doesn't suit my life in this big way. Like I wanted to travel and I wanted to have freedom. And so even though I was successful, I didn't have the freedom that I wanted. So again, as hard as it was, I released it with love and said, it's just not for me. So I went back to nursing. I went back to, the drawing board, and I wasn't ready to give up. I was still super hard-headed, super stubborn. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again. And I was basically, wanting to travel all the time, and I was really good at it. So I was a really great travel hacker. Does anybody know what travel hacking is? Like points and miles and credit cards and all that good stuff. So you can basically, run up points and miles on credit cards, and you can go all over the world for like pennies on the dollar. And so I was really good at that. I was also good at finding airfares and mistakes and things like that. And so I then basically started a blog called hackerette.com because I was a total travel hacker, and I was traveling the world with travel hacking points and miles. And so I started that in 2016, and I started my Instagram with it. And so that, I didn't think I was going to make any money. I thought it was a horrible idea. And so I thought, I'm just going to try it for a year and see what happens. And so I tried it for a year, and I started to realize like I was starting to figure it out. And it didn't feel like that I didn't have any passion or freedom. It felt like I could work out, but I wasn't really sure. So I just put everything into it for a whole entire year. And then after about a year, I started to do really well, and I started to learn so much, and it just grew exponentially. So a blog is definitely a marathon, not a race. It's definitely not a get rich quick whatsoever, but I kept putting the time and the effort, and I kept working super hard at it. And I had already built 2 other companies. So I had all that knowledge. Basically, I'd learned so much about, doing things online and also nurturing a business. And so with that, in 2018, I started getting people asking me, how did you do this? How did you build your online brand? How did you, get so many followers on Instagram? How did you build a successful blog? And so I started sharing what I learned, and that's how I kind of landed into Instagram success business coaching. And so now I teach people how to build a personal brand on Instagram and on a blog, and just really how to use social media to really talk to your target audience and all of that. So, and I've been doing that ever since. And so then now I feel like, I now have my freedom to share my passions, and while I empower others. So it's like a win-win-win. So I'm able to be free, and I'm able to travel. Like now travel is my job. That's a dream come true. This is what I worked so hard for. Never in a million years did I ever think that someone was going to pay me to travel the world. Like who does that? So it was just like a pipe dream to me. I was just a regular girl who worked as a nurse and worked long 12-hour shifts. And so, but with a lot of hard work and just really perseverance, I created it. And so I was able to quit my nursing job in 2018 to work for myself full time. So there I was, life was good. I was living my dream, and I had done it. I figured it out. I had done it. Everything was amazing, right? So 2018, 2019, this is me in Greece on a paid trip. I'm getting paid to travel the world, living my dream. And then something happened where I had to reinvent myself again. So in July 2019, I got a very shocking cancer diagnosis. So here I've put all this work into reinventing myself and doing all these things, and then all of a sudden, everything came crashing down. So I obviously had to stay home and get 16 rounds of chemo. So there was no possible way that I could travel anywhere for a year. And travel was my full-time job. So I could have basically said, okay, life is hard and I'm a victim and I'm just going to sit here and, cry about it. And I did all this work and I could give up, right? No one would have blamed me. I had breast cancer. I have a really rare, deadly breast cancer. No one would have blamed me. But instead, I thought to myself, okay, how can I bring new value to my audience? I was already established basically in the travel and lifestyle space. And I couldn't travel anymore. So what was I going to do? And so I figured, and I also thought to myself, because when you get a cancer diagnosis, there's just so much, it rips a filter off of your eyes that you can never put back. And so then you really think about, how can I empower other people the most, right? So there was a time where I didn't know if I had like 5 years to live or 6 months to live or 50 years to live. And then I realized that, we're all going to die, but no one thinks it's going to happen to them. And so I basically had a mirror in my face saying like, I know I'm going to die and now I understand this. And so if I'm going to have 5 years left or 50 years left, what do I want to do at that time? And I searched my soul, and what came up for me was, how can I empower other people, right? All I wanted whenever I was on my journey was to have freedom and to work for myself and just basically to, feel empowered myself and not feel trapped. And so I thought, how can I empower others the most? Is it wellness? Is it this? Is it that? And what I kept coming back to was teaching other people what I learned and how I scrapped my way to success. And so that's whenever I really started focusing on more and more online business coaching. I was already coaching before I got cancer, but I was also traveling quite a bit with work. And so I wasn't able to travel anymore. So I just basically did a huge pivot to really scaling my online coaching business. And it's been great success. And so now I teach people how to use Instagram to build a personal brand, because I've done that myself. And I also chose to share my cancer journey and be able to inspire other people. And so, you know what? You can pivot and pivot and pivot, and you can reinvent and reinvent and reinvent as many times as you need to or want to. So never think it's too late, and you never know what's going to happen, and you have to just have the mindset. So then as soon as I finished cancer treatment and thought I was going to be able to travel again, we landed in COVID-19, a global pandemic. So here we are, and this is a new challenge that none of us have ever seen before. We have no idea what's going to happen. The entire world is affected for the first time in history. And so it's really forced us all out of our comfort zones, right? And so this is a challenge, and everyone is affected. The economy is affected, everything, right? And so we can panic, or we can say, how do we navigate this new normal? So the first thing you need to do, and this is what I have used for all the things I've gone through and my cancer diagnosis and everything else, you must reframe your mindset around challenges. It's the first thing. Mindset is everything, and it works if you work it. Mindset is like a muscle, and it's just like going to the gym and working out with your trainer. And if you work it, it will get stronger. And so challenges are always opportunities for growth. It doesn't matter what. They are always opportunities for growth. It's just how you see them. Okay. And so you get to choose how you're going to use this time. You can choose to sit back and Netflix and chill. And there's of course a time and a place for that. But obviously, if you really want to use this time, you really can reinvent yourself. So again, like we said, invention is the mother of necessity. And right now, reinvention is the mother of necessity. We may not like it, but we must adapt in order to thrive, right? So we just have to do it. We don't have any excuses. We just have to do it. So what you can do is, of course, look for the lesson. Like, what are you meant to learn in this time? Whenever I got my cancer diagnosis, I thought, okay, where's the lesson here? What am I supposed to learn? And I knew that I needed to be slowing down. I was going and going and going and traveling everywhere. And I knew that self-care was getting pushed to the side because I was building my business. And that was a no-no. So now self-care is a non-negotiable for me. And so this is a huge lesson that I was able to learn and actually pass on as well to my clients when they're building their business without burnout. And so another thing is, how can you shift your current offerings? So think about that. How can you shift your current offerings? You may not need to completely pivot. So for me, I was already doing business coaching, but it was one piece of my multiple revenue streams in my business. And so with this pivot, I shifted, okay, how can I shift my current offerings? And so then I stepped it up and I created an 8-week program instead of just doing one-offs here and there or like a shorter time. So now I have an 8-week program and group programs and all that kind of thing. So how can you shift your current offerings? Also, how can you innovate and pivot to serve in a whole new way. So for me, whenever I got my cancer diagnosis, I wasn't in the wellness space whatsoever. But then now all of a sudden I was. And not that I wasn't doing wellness things before, but I wasn't really talking about it on my Instagram. That just wasn't my niche. And so then I basically, I served in a whole new way. I'm like, this is the things I'm taking. These are the drinks I'm drinking and stuff like that. And people liked it, right? So you can always shift, and serve in a whole new way. You just have to think about that. And also, what do people need right now that you can help them with? I'm sure there's so many things that people need, right? Because people are still spending money. We just saw the stats about Walmart and all these businesses, right? People are still spending money. You just have to find what they need and serve it up. So exactly. So for me, I'm doing tons of business coaching right now because that's what people need and want. And so travel has taken a seat, and then the business coaching is going there. So people are still spending money. You just have to find what it is and serve it up. Okay, so the 5 P's of success. So this is exactly what I teach in my 8-week program. And so I'm sharing this with you guys today. And so the 5 P's to success, right? You have to start with passion. So remember my crazy home care journey, right? I built a home care business and I didn't even realize that I wasn't passionate about it. So don't ever do something just for the money, because I promise you it is not sustainable. Even when you love it, like I love everything I'm doing right now. And even when you love it, it's hard and there are days it's not fun. So you absolutely must start with passion, and it has to be true and real. Don't ever do something because it makes money, because I'm telling you, you will give up and it will not last. And don't ever start a business because you want to sell it or whatever. That's a whole other thing. So I think if you're going to have a personal brand, you definitely need to be passionate about something and have a strong connection with it. Another thing is, of course, purpose. So you need to connect to something greater than yourself and build a legacy. If you aren't looking out for another person, you're not going to succeed in business. Because I'm telling you that people know when you're out for the money. People know when you're here to support them and empower them and everything like that. So again, whenever I ask myself, how can I serve in a whole new way? What's the biggest thing I can do for people? And that was to empower them to create freedom in their lives so that they could have the freedom to make more money, to go and travel, and not to be chained to a desk, to a job, unless that's what they enjoy. Some people like working at a job. For me, it was not. It was like prison, even at nursing. So connect to something greater than yourself and build a legacy, and you're gonna thrive. Okay, and then of course, proficiency. You obviously have to have the skills to provide a solution to a specific problem. Any business is about solving other people's problems. Basically, you heard that quote about you can get whatever you want if you give someone else what they want. That's the number one rule in business. You must solve a problem, a specific problem, and you must solve it well, and you must have the skills to do that efficiently over and over. And of course, profit, right? So you have to come up with something that is going to be profitable. Are people willing to pay for this? Do they need it? First of all, do they actually need it? Second of all, do they want it? Do they actually want it? Is it exciting? And then do they get it? Do they understand what it is? So if somebody else, it's the easiest way, if someone else is already doing this and someone else is able to profit from this niche, then so can you. So the good news is that if someone else is doing it, don't think it's oversaturated. If it's oversaturated, that means it's making money. So just turn your mindset on that. Okay, and then of course, last but not least, prosperity. You must have some systems in place for efficiency to avoid burnout, right? When I was running myself to death traveling, I was in a new country once a month. That was not good for me. I'm not sure if that's the reason I got cancer or not, probably not, but it probably didn't help anything, right? So you must have systems in place for efficiency to avoid burnout, right? You have to build your team. This is for the long haul. You have to be doing this for 10 years, 20 years, right? So you can't be running and telling yourself, I will get this sorted as soon as, because I did that and as soon as came and bit me. So don't do that. So those are the 5 P's of success. I go a lot deeper into those in my program, but that's like a little snippet for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about some real life examples of reinvention. So these are actually clients of mine. They came in, they found me, early quarantine, and they were like, help, what do? We want to build an online business. We have no idea what that looks like. Help. Okay, so I had just 3 different examples from 3 different walks of life. The first girl is an esthetician, and she was a lash artist. She obviously could not go touching anybody, so that's a physical job. So what did we do? We turned her into a beauty blogger and an influencer. And she started, she already had like 1,100 followers on her personal account or whatever. And now she's almost to like 2,000, right? In like 8 weeks. So we grew her following. She's doing affiliate links. She's making money from her Instagram, and she's making money from her blog. And her 8 weeks is done, and she's going to know this information forever. So now she knows how to make money online forever, right? So it just grows and grows, and it builds and it accumulates upon itself. So she has this information forever. Another client of mine is an event coordinator, and they did these amazing bespoke events, and they were just over the top, and they're in Dubai, and they were beautiful. And so they were panicking, and they came to me and they said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I said, we have to release the live events right now. We have to move. We have to pivot. And they held on and they held on. And I said, we have to pivot. So I said, we have to create virtual events, and it can't just be 20 people on a Zoom talking over each other. It has to be really cool, right? It has to be something new that people can't do on their own. So we're in the process of creating that right now. They did a giveaway. We're doing virtual events now. They're pivoting. And so people are excited about it. People are interested. How does it look? How could it work? And again, because we don't know when we're coming out of full quarantine or if there's going to be another wave. And so we're setting them up for success to recession proof their business. People are still starving for human connection. We're all here today. People still want to go to events. They just want to go to something properly. And, people are still having birthdays. People are still having, events and things. People are still turning 30 or 40 or 21, right? They still want to do something. And so virtual events solves the problem for somebody. They're bored in the house, right? All these things. Okay, so the next client is a photographer, right? And that's usually obviously in person. So the third example, we said, okay, let's do FaceTime digital sessions. And that kind of sounds weird or whatever, but when you see it, it's like amazing. So what they do is they call up their client, and they go around their house and they find windows and they show, oh, the lighting is good here. And they'll teach them how to pose and do all these things. And they'll have a setup session. And then they'll do like a whole boudoir session or a family session or whatever. And they basically are videoing it on FaceTime on their phone. And then they're tapping, right? You can do screenshots while you're on the video. So they can tap, tap, tap. And then they're editing it. So they are phone photos, but photographers are amazing at editing, right? So we have these photos. So they're doing photos, and people are so bored. And this is such a novel thing. People are excited about it, right? So there's 3 real life examples of reinvention that are actually happening. So just think outside the box. You need to get creative. Again, what do people want and that you can provide, and how can we serve it up? Okay. So another thing you can do if you're not quite sure, not feeling very creative, ask your clients or your audience, what they need or want. What is missing, right? What do they need? And so ask your current clients what they need right now in relation to the skills you already have, like the photographer, right? And so how could we do this? So we thought outside the box, right? So think outside the box and let your imagination play with silly ideas. So if you write down all of your ideas for like 10 minutes, no matter how silly they seem, and just release judgment around them and just let them flow, right? Because when you allow your ideas to flow and just don't like shut them down, then more will come. And this turns on your creativity in your brain. So just go and set your timer for 10 minutes and just write ideas. And some of these silly ideas can work. Like you see what we've just done, right? With like the phones and everything. So, just don't judge them, allow them to be, release judgment, and just let them go and flow, and just let them and see what comes out. If you do that for 10 minutes a day, I guarantee you're going to have some pretty cool ideas, right? And then so you could probably create something. And then also, and then what do you wish you had right now that doesn't exist yet? So think to yourself, what are you saying? Oh my God, I wish this, I wish that, right? And so what is coming to you that you feel like, oh, if there was only this, maybe create it or work with someone or partner with the right person to help you create it. There's so many things that haven't been invented yet that we don't even know. And how many times have you said, I thought of that and I didn't do it, right? So ideas are energy. And if you don't jump on them, they run away to someone else who will. So if you nurture it, you need to nurture it and get on it. And now's the time, because everybody is innovating at a rapid speed. So you want to be first. Okay, so what if you don't have any clients or a business? Well, every single person who has a social media account has an audience. So you have someone to ask, right? So I don't care if you have 100 followers on your account. If you went to this room right here and you had 100 followers and you had 100 people sitting in a room watching you talk, that's a lot of people. So I don't care if you have 100 followers or 50 followers, that's 50 people sitting in a room hearing you talk, right? So everybody has an audience. So ask, make a post on social media, asking your audience what they wish they had right now. And then brainstorm ways that you can offer it in this new normal environment. How does it work in this environment? So, okay, questions to ask yourself when you are reinventing yourself. What lights you up and makes you really happy? What type of content do you love to create the most? Do you love doing videos? Do you love doing photos? Look, what are the kind of things you talk about, right? What kind of knowledge? What do you have the most knowledge about that you could talk about forever? Like everybody has skills. I know everybody in this room is highly talented. You obviously have had a job already, so you have lots of skills. You just don't know how to think about putting those into a package to help someone else. So yeah, what do your friends come to you for advice about, right? Are you the girl who's like the beauty girl? Are you the fashion girl? Are you the health nut? Like, do you know what I mean? There's something you can help with. What problems you personally have that you can help others solve? Remember, it's just a business is just all about solving other people's problems. If you overcame, a business or anything, right? If you learned how to just whatever, there's literally a class or a course or something for everything, right? So just think outside the box. What transferable skills that right now, right? Like if you're great at resume, if you're great at interviewing, I mean, there's so many simple little things that you could be really good at that you could put up a post and say, I'm helping people, reach out to me. I really want to help you make your resume shine so that when you do go out there in this crazy pandemic and looking for a job, we can make you stand apart, right? Do you need interview help? I can help you with that. You know what I mean? There's so many things we can do right now. And then again, ask yourself, what's your superpower? Ask your 3 best friends, what's your superpower? What are you naturally good at that comes so easily to you, right? So mine was always finding travel deals, right? And taking photos. I love taking photos. You guys can check out my Instagram later. There's I love editing and making pink sunsets and all this stuff. And I just love it. It comes easy for me because I love it and I'm passionate about it. So, okay. And then also, do others need it and want it? We talked about, do they get it? Do they need it? Do they want it, right? If they get it and they need it and they want it, you have yourself a business. Okay, and also what offer can you create to serve others with this information, right? So when you ask yourself all these questions, do this later on your own, what offer can you create, right? It's all about creating something. Okay, so, and then my favorite thing is basically failure does not exist, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I don't believe in failure. I believe there's no failure, there's only feedback, and I will tell you why. So think about yourself when you were a little baby and you were learning to walk and you were just falling and falling and falling and you fell so many times and you were perfectly fine with it, right? You would never make fun of a baby for falling, okay? So you hadn't yet learned the word failure, so you just kept trying until you got it right, and it was not a big deal, okay? But what if you had given up because you felt like you were a failure and then you never learned to walk? Like, what would your life look like today? Like, really? What if a baby is walking around and it fell, say, once or twice, and this baby said, oh my God, that was the most horrible experience of my entire life, which it probably was at the time. It's probably the worst thing that ever happened to the baby was they fell on their butt. And then they said, I am never going to try walking again because that was the worst experience of my life. I'm just going to sit and crawl for the rest of my life. Like, how would your life be? We wouldn't get anywhere. We wouldn't do anything, right? But somewhere along the way, we got this amazing mindset that we're a failure and this and that, and we just went like this, right? So failure doesn't exist. You're basically, you're the only thing that's in the way of your own success. So if you just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, success is just like not giving up, to be honest. Like, I don't know if you guys know the Angry Birds guy. I think the Angry Birds guy who created the app, he created like 57 apps, right? Or something like that. And I think on the 58th app, he finally made Angry Birds. Like, that's talking about perseverance and not giving up, right? So, I mean, you guys just have to not give up. And so success is just about sticking with it when everybody else falls off and just sticking with it. So if you really want it, this is why you need passion. You need passion and purpose at the hub of everything. And if you don't have passion and purpose, you're going to fall off, right? So we have to start with passion and excitement, and then a deeper purpose that's outside of you that really builds a legacy and really helps other people. Okay, and so again, mindset is everything. That's one of my favorite sayings. Mindset is everything. It works if you work it. You have to have practices in place. I teach a method in my groups as well, like how do we get over imposter syndrome and all that kind of thing, because our minds will really just keep us from it will hold us back, and it's just not fair. And there's ways you can get around it. You can totally rewire your brain for success if you know how, and you just have to stick with it. And so again, you're allowed to get it wrong. Nobody gets it right the first time. I clearly did not, right? I showed you all the thousands of times that I failed, right? And that was like the snippet, like Cliff Notes version, right? So nobody gets it right the first time. But you know what? The only way that is possible to learn and grow is if you keep moving in the direction of your goals. So fall, get back up, right? Just like be that baby who's curious, who's excited, who says, you know what, that happened. It's not a big deal. And I'm just going to get back up. So come at your life with the curiosity and the mindset of just, you're here experiencing, just like the baby, right? You're here to experience, and this is just a new experience for you. Let's see. Okay. So I think that was it. Yeah. So takeaways. Okay. So takeaways for you guys to remember. You get to reinvent yourself as many times as you want to. Trust me, this is coming from me. You can do it. I can reinvent myself again, and I will, because I know how to do it now. And you know what? Pick a direction and go for it. Do not get stuck in analysis paralysis. It will keep you stuck. And you know what? That's an excuse to not take action. And every time, if you're not taking action and you're like, oh, well, I'm getting ready to get ready. Like if you're getting ready to get ready, you're never going to get anything accomplished. Right? So just take messy action. That's the way it goes. Okay. Again, there's no failure. There's only feedback. You can fail as many times. It's not failure. It's just learning. It's making mistakes and then refiguring it out. Like if you made a mistake, if you burned some cookies the first time you cooked them, you're going to learn, you're going to do it again the second time, right? Same thing. Okay. So learn from your mistakes, apply the lesson, and just keep going. The key to success is simply to never stop trying. Again, consistent, messy action wins the game. Just keep moving forward, keep going in the direction, and just keep going. And find a mentor, guys. Find a mentor who can help you succeed. If somebody is doing something you want to be doing, go hire them. Take the fast track. Don't try to do it on your own. You don't need to do it on your own, right? So you don't need to do it alone. Go hire someone who can help you succeed, who's success themselves, right? And if they have a good track record, go hire them. Take the fast track, figure it out. Okay, awesome. So we're going to do Q&A in just a sec, but I wanted to let you guys know where to find me. Let's definitely keep in touch. I would love to connect. Fellow San Diegan, and you guys have been amazing. My blog is hackerette.com. My Instagram is Kamelia.Britton. You can follow me there. And I also, I'm giving everybody here a free strategy session. And so the link is in my bio on Instagram. And so if you click the link in my bio on Instagram, it'll take you to my website, which because of COVID-19, I'm giving back by giving away a free strategy session to talk to everybody about their business, about their goals and stuff like that. And so there are just a few spots. So if you want that, it's free completely. Sign up for that. Just click the link in my bio. And with that being said, we are on to Q&A. So let's go ahead and see. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, cool. So let me go here and let's see, do we have any in the chat box? I don't think so. Okay. If you guys want to unmute yourselves, you can do Q&A or you can put it in the chat box. Let me know. Let me know how you want to do it.
Hey, Kamelia, it's Untitled. Like you were talking about mentors who actually, helping people to get where they need to be. It's a very, very good advice. Who are your mentors? Who is the one who is helping you?
Yes, I have a business coach. I have, all this stuff. I have a business coach that helps me. And then I basically coach other people, and she has a business coach and so on. So yeah. Her name's Cassie. Anybody else? No questions?
Okay, I come again. It's like I thought it was very inspiring that how you actually, when you reinvented yourself and then you figured out how to actually make money on your passion, and then you actually got the breast cancer, and then how you came back from that. Are you doing anything to actually tell your story and then inspire other people who actually have this, the event in their life that breaks almost the whole life in half, and then coming back, and then you're coming back stronger and better? Have you done anything with that story? And then are you doing anything with it?
1,000,000%. I'm a co-author of a book called One Habit to Beat Cancer. I'm speaking in a summit that's actually live right now. You can actually see that on my Instagram stories today. There's a whole summit that I'm a part of. I've co-written a book. I have a blog, of course, and I have my Instagram. And so I've written multiple blog posts about the journey, what got me through. I've spoken at so many summits, and I've done lots of speaking on that. I've done, all kinds of things. Yeah, lots of things actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's all on my Instagram. You'll see it. Yeah, but I definitely just want to, inspire other people. And, I'm like stronger than the average person, I think. And so I feel like I got cancer and I already had this big platform and this blog and things like that. And so I feel like I was maybe given, like, assigned this mountain to show others that it can be moved, right? And so I have been really, outspoken about it and talked about what I've learned from it. Like, I went through such a hard time. You guys saw I lost all my hair. This is my lovely wig. I mean, it was a hard time, you know what I mean? Like, I was doing brand ambassador work for herbal essences, and then I went bald. So, I mean, I've literally gone through the gamut, right? I was traveling and then I couldn't, whatever. I went through 16 rounds of chemo. I had like 6 different surgeries. I'm starting radiation on Wednesday. I'm still not done with it. I'm cancer free. Yay. So I'm in full remission, which is amazing. But I'm still, like, in treatment for a little bit longer. But I mean, it's been about a year almost. I was diagnosed in July. And so, but it hasn't stopped me. I just, I just didn't want to sit back and just, waste away for a year. And so I basically just pivoted and said, how can I now provide value to my audience? And how can I show up in a whole new way that maybe we haven't done together before? And it really bonded them with me. Like, they weren't expecting this. I mean, because I was pretty healthy before. I've never had any health problems at all. But we really went down that journey together. And then the people that follow me now that, stuck around, they just really have completely bonded with me as like a real person. And so it's opened up a whole new world of other things. So, yeah. Anybody else?
If nobody else, it's going to turn into an interview rather than just, me staying quiet. You mentioned a couple of businesses that you actually currently coaching. All of them were, basically building something out of nothing. So startups, and then it's like, for my business, I know I get bombarded with these business coaches, like, 15 a day. It's a very cutthroat and competitive business. Are there actual businesses that they already up and running that you actually help? And then what are those and what type of help you actually offering? Maybe somebody on the call here, gonna be able to use your coaching skills and then, can ask you for your help to their own business.
Yeah, I've worked from everybody, from people that have been in business for 20 years and then people that are just starting out and everything in between. So, I've helped people, oh my gosh, anyone who, and it's on my blog actually, on that link, it has everybody that I work with. Typically I work with like coaches, bloggers, service providers, anybody who's passionate and has like a purpose behind what they do. I mean, I've literally worked with wedding planners, event planners, bloggers, coaches, like I said, and then also one girl owns a wedding dress shop. I mean, really anything. I mean, anything that's like a personal brand. It's anyone who wants to use the power of social media to really build their personal brand and learn how to like really harness their story and share that with their audience to create connection and to then, basically make help, right? How do we help? Like, who are we talking to? How do we help and how do we serve? And then basically, like, I help them hone in on their target audience and speak to their audience and things like that. And so either to really fine tune their already marketing, the things that they're already doing, or then create a whole new thing. So I've done everything kind of in between.
So you would say, is that an accurate fact that basically your specialty is basically building brands from scratch and then you create brand identity? That's the business, your coaching part of your business that you're actually doing? Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely. And everything in between. So either existing businesses, we do a whole, like not a rebrand, but we do like a whole branding, or we start a business, right? So the first session that I do is one-on-one with me, even in my group programs. And we go through your whole brand values. We like discover your brand values together. And I'm really good at like extracting that from people and then putting it together in a way that flows and that makes sense. And that basically can, they can put it out to their audience in like an eloquent way that really converts and then helps and shows why they're doing this. Like, you can start any business that you want to in the world. So why did you start this one? Like, what's your why and how to say this eloquently, and defining who you help and how you help and what's the transformation that they get with your help, and kind of saying that, right? So there's a lot of things that we do. And then again, we start with passion. We do the whole 5 Ps in my program, right? So we start with passion, and then we move into purpose, the deeper legacy that we're doing. And then of course, proficiency and all the nuts and bolts and how to do this and how to do that and hashtags and all this. And then profit, like how are we going to make money from this? And then also prosperity, like how are we going to do this for the long term without burning out? So I take them through that whole journey. from start to finish. It's an 8-week program. And yeah, we basically, and people are doing really well with it. So yeah, and I've just worked with lots of different people, so many different kinds. I mean, trainers, MLMs, like everything, like everything really in between. So
I have a question.
When you say
yeah.
like you doing this on your own, or you have a staff, you have a group of people who's working with you?
So I do the coaching on my own. I run that whole part of the business. I have a team that runs other parts of my business. I'm with a talent agency who runs all my negotiations as an influencer and things like that. So I'm signed with a talent agency. I have a manager and an agent and all that. And so they basically handle all my negotiations for my brand deals and all of that. And so all I have to do is create the content and post on my feed. And so that really frees me up to be able to do more coaching. And that's kind of like what I love. And so I don't really need a team because it's all me. That basically I go in and I do all these things with them, and we work together, and we have a Slack group, and we have courses, and they get direct personalized mentorship. And yeah, it's all through me.
Awesome. It looks like Kara had some questions. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question. I have a few things that I want to actually do, but do you have like tips or things that I can do to select from those things to like move forward to?
Yeah, I mean,
like
whenever
to choose from my passions, the things that
absolutely, yes. So many people come to me, and you'll see it on my website. There's a whole bunch of testimonials on the link that's in my bio on Instagram. If you scroll down, there's tons of testimonials that talk about people that found their purpose and everything, because I basically have a system where I take you through this whole system that I have, and then we basically get to the point of what's really true for you, and we meld it all together, and it all makes sense like when we're done. So it's a whole process. But
Okay,
yeah, definitely hone in on that. Yeah. Anybody else?
I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked about social platforms, Facebook, probably Instagram, Twitter, maybe Snapchat. What about LinkedIn? Do you do work with LinkedIn, and how do you transfer what you've talked about today to LinkedIn, since it's oriented towards a business audience?
Yeah. So the great thing about my program is that I teach you how to write copy. And so I teach you the principles that I use in my program, you can use on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere that you write copy. And so basically anywhere that you have verbiage, you can basically repurpose that. So I have a lawyer that I work with who's very, very popular on LinkedIn. And so basically she wants to repurpose her Instagram content for LinkedIn, which is so easy to do. So that's part of the like prosperity piece, where we don't want you recreating multiple things for multiple platforms. As much as you can, you want to recreate and just repurpose it a little bit to fit that platform, but basically like working smarter, not harder. And then anywhere that you write, whether it's a blog or Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, anywhere you write a caption, you can definitely repurpose this and use these principles there. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Anybody else?
So what was the most interesting place that you ever traveled to, and why?
Oh my gosh, I love the Maldives. It's so beautiful. It's amazing. It's and I got engaged there, so yeah, it was amazing. And I'll see if I can show you my engagement picture. It looked like a fake engagement. It was actually real, obviously, but it was it definitely looks like coming out of a magazine. So let's see. 1 second. So yeah, this was my engagement in the Maldives. And so it was very special, and that was my favorite place. And yeah. Noah, can you take Rascal and go out, please? Thank you. Sorry. Working from home. Can you go, please? Thank you. Okay, so yeah, anyways, that's where I've been. I loved it. And yeah. Okay, you want to sit down?
The picture definitely looked like it was like a postcard or something.
Exactly. It looks so fake. People were tagging it saying like real engagement or whatever, because it actually really was, so yeah, anyways.
So guys, anybody else have a question before we let Kamelia go? Well, looks like that's it. Kamelia, we really appreciate you sharing this information.
No problem. No problem.
San Diego Tech Hub, and then we have a group we really, really appreciate it. It's a very, very enjoyable little session that you just gave us.
Yes, no problem. It was a pleasure.
I think the biggest challenge is like to find out how to start, and like you say, 10 minutes to just think about what I want to do, because I was doing the business for so long, and then I was also in travel business too, that everything stopped. And even the COVID maybe lifted, I don't foresee the next year, or maybe not to 2 years, that will come back. I'm doing educational travel, and by school board banning travel, it's really hard, right? So I have to think about right now I'm trying to think about like some online courses, but so need to write down like your strategy, like the 5P.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I give away a free strategy call, so if you want to connect more, then definitely just book that. So
Thanks.
yeah, of course.
Then yeah, pretty much we are done. No need to go back to the main group session. That we're not gonna have a follow up with this. This is pretty much the end of the call. And again, Kamelia, thank you very much again.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Nice to connect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.